Hello YouTube, Analyzation Skull here, bringing you a review of the concluding game to the Arkham franchise, created by Rocksteady Games, Batman Arkham Knight. This video will cover one of the most integral parts and one of my personal favorites of the game's quality, the story element. The game's premise follows Batman 2 years after the death of the Joker at the end of Gotham's transitional period into a new villain power struggle. Hitting this new threat is Scarecrow and his accomplice, the Arkham Knight, whose identity is unknown. Meanwhile, a full cast of villains from previous Arkham games and new to the series are threatening Gotham and fill the game with enough crime and battles for a filled-to-the-brim journey throughout the night. Batman must conquer his fears and overcome the challenges ahead if he wants to save Gotham from the Arkham Knight's forces, Scarecrow's fear toxin, and the overwhelming threats that lie in wait in the aftermath of the Joker's death. In the beginning of Arkham Knight, we are presented with a visual of a mechanical object being inserted into a furnace. It is slowly revealed that the body on this slab is none other than the Joker. Classical jazz plays in the background as the player incinerates his body for an emphasized dramatic end to the Clown Prince of Crime. Not only does this scene refamiliarize players with the climax of the previous game, but it further solidifies the until now questioned validity of the death of the Joker. The intro furthers with Commissioner Gordon elaborating on Gotham's newfound peace and pending struggle for power amongst the city's criminal residents. We then begin gameplay in the command of a GCPD member, Officer Owens, at a diner on Halloween night, where a demonstrative fear toxin dispersal takes place as Scarecrow threatens the population of Gotham and takes command of the city. As Officer Owens, we see the full effects of Scarecrow's toxin, when the officer hallucinates and mistakes everyone in the diner for demons as he visualizes a hell-like environment and kills many surrounding him. With this, the city is evacuated, and as uttered by Jim Gordon, the city is dependent on one man to save it: Batman. The way this scene that introduces us to the game is ominous and surprising. Taking place just before Halloween night, the diner is depicted as a casual, peaceful environment that is disrupted by terror when an ordinary situation turns drastically worse. When Owens is affected by the fear toxin, the situation escalates dramatically fast, as not only the diner is transformed into chaos, but the entire city. The scene, much like fear itself, is set on ominously before transitioning quickly to a panic, or in this case, an excitement and influx of events. A fitting start. Batman tracks Scarecrow's location but finds Poison Ivy held hostage in order to display another demonstration of the capabilities of the fear toxin, but to no avail, as we discover that Ivy has built up an immunity to the toxin on account of her naturally adaptable chemical makeup. Ivy is rescued and reveals to us that Scarecrow has established a temporary truce between Gotham's criminals for the mutual gain of ridding the city of Batman. Ivy refused to assist in this joint venture, so she was exploited instead. She is taken into custody, and Batman tracks Scarecrow again, locating the highest concentration of fear toxin at Ace Chemicals. He makes his way there, and along the way encounters militia opposition. Batman evens the odds by utilizing the newly introduced Batmobile to combat the attacking military-grade vehicles. Once at Ace Chemicals, we get exposition of the game's namesake character, the Arkham Knight. In collaboration with Scarecrow, he makes his presence known by flying a chopper in front of and threatening Batman before flying away. You eventually make your way to the central mixing chamber where Scarecrow is cornered and reveals that he has kidnapped Barbara Gordon, and a fear toxin detonation is imminent. Scarecrow escapes while Batman lowers the blast radius, exposing himself to the toxin. It is here that the scene takes a surprising turn, and the player is left to question reality as the Joker suddenly appears pointing a gun directly at Batman, saying, "Miss me," and fires. Even after it was assured at the game's beginning that the Joker was destroyed, Rocksteady took the plot twist approach and made it work well. In this case, the reinforcement of his death served to amplify the reaction to the reveal. At this point, the player is left to question how this is possible, when the scene cuts to black and we are taken to a flashback of events prior to the game. We take control of Gordon as we enter Batman's theater base, where we find that 4 people are being held prisoner for testing and safety that were infected with Joker's contaminated blood before his death. 3 of them exhibiting Joker-like traits, while 1 of them appears unaffected and immune. Batman states that a 5th victim exists and will be arriving soon. This scene leaves us with questions and a cliffhanger as the game cuts to black to Batman recovering from his exposure to the fear toxin. Although the answers to these questions of who the fifth infectee is and why the Joker was seen are arguably easy to answer, and can be within the next scene, this one still functions as a transitional period in-game, and gives those who need it time to think. This scene remains entertaining, but is lacking in true mystery. The Joker then greets him, and we are reassured the Joker's return is purely psychological, and he is indeed dead. Batman then escapes Ace Chemicals as the toxin bomb detonates, taking only the Ace Chemicals building on the outskirts of Gotham with it. Afterwards, it becomes clear that Batman is plagued constantly by visions and hallucinations of the Joker throughout the game. He proceeds to the clock tower with Gordon, after explaining his daughter's predicament. It's there that Batman tells Gordon of Barbara aiding in his battle against crime as Oracle. Enraged and hurt, Gordon storms off on his own, pursuing Scarecrow and his daughter. Meanwhile, the Arkham Knight lands his military throughout Gotham, posing even more of a threat. Using the Knight's voice print, Batman tracks him and eliminates his forces. It's here that we start to see that the Arkham Knight is more than an imitator of Batman's clothing design. He knows of Batman's methods and detection, his combat techniques, and even his thought processes. We learn that this villain knows Batman on a personal level somehow. The Knight escapes using a decoy with the same voice modification he uses. Batman's only lead at this point is the last location Scarecrow was headed to, which are the airships owned by Simon Stagg. Knowing this is the conclusive game to the Arkham franchise, as told by Rocksteady, players are going to expect dramatic changes to continuity, such as deaths of major characters, or life-altering circumstances to be imposed onto those characters. This was one such event. Barbara Gordon dies in front of us, and the impact is felt strongly. Following this event, Batman realizes he can use Poison Ivy's immunity to develop a cure for the fear toxin. He releases her from GCPD, and on her direction, frees an ancient plant beneath Gotham that can help compose the cure, all the while scanning the city for the cloudburst and battling the Arkham Knight's military forces. Shortly after, an emergency message is received from the symptomless patient, Henry, at Batman's movie studio base, notifying Batman of a break-in to free the Joker blood-infected patients. Too late to stop the message, Harley Quinn reveals herself and dares Batman to attempt to stop her. Eventually, with the aid of Robin, all the escaped Joker infectees are beaten and incapacitated, along with Harley Quinn. Immediately after, Batman and Robin are held at gunpoint by Henry, who murders all three Joker infectees, proclaiming that he is the most evolutionarily evolved of the new Jokers. He states that in evolution, the strongest always survives, but that even amoebas can do it. In contrast, this introduces the theme of evolution and nature's adaptability to the game, demonstrating the power life has to overcome biological obstacles and imperfections throughout time. He then motions to kill Batman, but realizes Batman's eyes are glowing a Joker green color. Awestruck, he utters, "You're going to be spectacular," before putting the gun to his head and committing suicide. Harley Quinn cries in horror as Robin and the player realize fully and are able to confirm that Batman is the fifth and final Joker blood infectee. This establishes that Batman's hallucinations aren't just a result of the fear toxin, but the Joker's blood evolving within his body. It's in this scene that the player realizes that Batman could lose control at any time and is taking a risk with every moment he remains active. This not only begs the question, how long is he willing to risk Gotham's safety, but how long is hope for the best worth holding on to? And what qualifies as justification for someone to take a decision that could compromise others' safety out of another's hands? Definitely worth praising for the game's questioning of ethics. Robin resolves to imprison Batman as a safety precaution, for if the Joker were to take over his mind fully, he would become unstoppable. Remembering the death of Jason Todd, and knowing Robin would attempt to fight him, Batman refutes this and imprisons Robin instead, fearing that he would lose the remaining people closest to him if he didn't take action himself, and believing he has the power to overcome the Joker's influence long enough to defeat Scarecrow and save Barbara. Batman then finds Ivy, hoping for a cure to the fear toxin. Unfortunately, she needed more power and time. Though it appeared time had run out, The cloudburst was finally located, but only seconds before its detonation. Gotham was now in a panicked chaos, submerged in fear toxin, and at the mercy of Scarecrow. Ivy continued to work on the cure, while Batman gained information on a new fuel source from Simon Stagg for the then inoperable Batmobile, in order to defeat the Arkham Knight and his forces. Using the newly powered-up Batmobile, Batman is able to awaken another dormant plant in Gotham to help synthesize a cure for the toxin, and is also able to defeat the Arkham Knight in his commanding military tank and destroy the cloudburst. Afterwards, the Arkham Knight escapes, but Ivy is able to finally cure the fear toxin and removes the coating from Gotham entirely. Unfortunately, this costs Ivy her life. Having given everything she had to fight the effects of the fear toxin, this scene communicates powerfully to the audience, demonstrating that regardless of Ivy's technical criminal intent, her concern for life and will to protect it was strong enough for her to sacrifice herself. She vocalizes the strength of her beliefs and continues the theme of evolutionary adaptability, and the last words she mutters speaks volumes about her character and the depths of strength that can be reached when an action is done for the sake of another. It makes a positive statement about life's civility and is a powerful piece of the story. Once the city is cleared of toxin, a voice recording of Gordon is received stating that he'd found Scarecrow and is going after him. Batman tracks the signal to the Arkham Knight's base and confronts him. It's here when the Arkham Knight reveals his true identity to Batman. He is none other than his thought-to-be-dead sidekick, Jason Todd. They battle as Jason elaborates on his plot for revenge and blames Batman for the Joker's torture of him and abandoning him for a replacement. Batman attempts to explain that he was deceived and attempts to convince Jason that he's making a mistake. Jason gains an opportunity to kill Batman as he pleads for his understanding. Jason spares his life and escapes as the battle comes to an end. This scene was the big reveal of the imposed question of the identity of the Arkham Knight. Depending on your familiarity with the Batman universe and comics, it could have ranged from an easy guess to an unthinkable possibility, but overall the identity of the Arkham Knight was revealed well and built up gradually with the right pacing and amount of questionability. After this, Batman rescues Gordon, and they have traveled to the building's rooftop where Scarecrow is waiting for them. In the elevator, Batman apologizes for Barbara and attempts to reason with Gordon about their actions, ensuring that she was a powerful person with unstoppable will who made her own decisions. Gordon agrees and praises her as the tension between them appears to be resolved. Once on the rooftop, Batman commands Scarecrow to surrender, but he reveals that he has Barbara Gordon as his prisoner, alive and well. He explains that Batman lets his fears and weaknesses control him, and that is why he will be defeated. Then, Gordon turns the gun he was aiming at Scarecrow to Batman, revealing that he had made a deal with Scarecrow, trading Batman for Barbara. Attempting to manipulate the situation, Gordon shoots Batman off the roof, but Scarecrow takes little pleasure in this act. He explains that he did not want him dead. His guards then restrain Gordon as he pushes Barbara off the edge of the building. Batman, unharmed by the gunshot, rescues Barbara and reveals to her that her father aimed for the strongest part of his armor to ensure his survival. This scene was one of high suspense and pivotal action in the game, as we see a demonstration of the power fear can have over the actions of even the strongest individuals, as Gordon appears to betray Batman for the sake of his daughter, something Scarecrow has communicated throughout the game. While at the very same time, we are shown the contrast that these controlling fears can be overcome, as exhibited again by Gordon when he finds a way out of the situation by using information not known by Scarecrow about Batman's suit. Scarecrow further praises the power of fear as he pushes Barbara off the building, and the scene conveys hopelessness until Batman stunningly saves Barbara from the fall, solidifying the message portrayed previously by Ivy that great things can be done when you face your fears. This is a scene that is able to display its message in a suspenseful and entertaining way, a great part of the story. Scarecrow then escapes with Commissioner Gordon captive, and Batman is able to escort Barbara safely through heavy militia attacks to GCPD. Once there, an assault on the building commences, and Batman defends it, only to discover that Scarecrow has captured Robin from the holding cell that Batman placed him in previously. Scarecrow demands that Batman surrender himself at a storage depot in Kingston, otherwise he will take the lives of Robin and Gordon, those closest to him. This scene once again exemplifies the effects of fear on the decisive moments of someone's life. Batman is forced to bend to the will of Scarecrow to prevent the loss of his comrades' lives, one of which was imprisoned by him, ironically, due to those very same fears for his safety. A crucial event of the story that begins to set up for the finale of the game. Batman surrenders his weaponry and himself to Scarecrow as he continues to experience hallucinations of the Joker and his parents' murder, the effects of Joker's infected blood becoming more prominent, and the audience becoming more and more aware of Batman's debilitating condition. Batman is wheeled into a broadcasting room where Robin and Gordon are being held when Scarecrow shoots Robin, demanding that Gordon remove Batman's cowl, and threatens that the next bullet will kill him if his instructions aren't followed. Batman tells Gordon to proceed, telling him it's the end of Batman, reassuring that everything will be okay in the end. Gordon reluctantly removes the cowl, and Batman's true identity, Bruce Wayne, is broadcast throughout Gotham. Scarecrow again praises the power of fear, claiming victory and that he has destroyed Batman before plunging a full dose of fear toxin into Bruce Wayne. As a result, Bruce is taken deep into his subconscious where an equally fierce battle takes place, as Bruce battles the effects of the fear toxin and Joker's influence. In his mind, he has been captured by a collection of notable foes from his past, and has been strapped to an Arkham Asylum restraining gurney. He's brought into the center of a building where thugs have him completely surrounded. As Penguin, Two-Face, and the Riddler talk amongst themselves, Batman goes through a metamorphosis. The Joker has taken over, and he appears as the Joker himself. Madness ensues as a twisted Joker-like version of the Batmobile bursts through the building wall, crushing Killer Croc upon landing. Joker escapes his restraints, enters the Joker-mobile, and begins to destroy the surrounding thugs as bullets fly in all directions. Soon the room is clear, with all thugs dead in Joker's wake. He exits the vehicle with a shotgun and tracks down the commanding Batman foes one by one, killing them. He then exits the building into Gotham and hears the voice of Alfred attempting to reason with him. These pleas fall on deaf ears as Bruce comes back to reality. The fear toxin appears to have worn off, and Scarecrow is continuing his speech on the fall of Batman and Gotham's hope. These explanations only extract defiance and psychotic laughs from Bruce, who is now fully controlled by the Joker. Frustrated by the Joker's lack of fear, Scarecrow once again injects a dose of fear toxin into Bruce, and he is brought back into his psychologically manifested version of Gotham, with the Joker free to cause chaos. Inside Bruce's mind, the Joker still senses Bruce's presence. He calls out his name as Gotham turns pitch black, and the only light now comes from Joker's flashlight above his shotgun. The Joker finds himself in an archaic tunnel system where Batman begins to show him things. He leads him through multiple pathways that showcase the Joker's death, his incineration, his funeral, and the public negligence of his existence. The Joker is then led into a courtyard where he begins to be surrounded by statues of Batman from every direction. No matter how many the Joker destroys, 3 more are produced in the place of each one. This continues until Batman breaks through one of them and seizes the Joker. Joker attempts to shoot him, but it has no effect. Batman tells the Joker he's afraid of being forgotten. He proclaims that he will be because of him, as he states, "I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman." He then locks the cowering Joker up in a reinforced cell that is taken away into nothingness. Bruce emerges from his subconscious not only having survived the fear toxin's effects, but conquered the Joker's infection of his mind as well. Scarecrow realizes that the toxin's effects are wearing off, and injects Bruce yet again, only this time there is no effect. Bruce states that he is not afraid. Shocked and confused by this, Scarecrow draws a pistol and aims it directly at Bruce's head, stating that without fear, life is meaningless. Before he can fire, his gun is impacted by a bullet from Jason Todd's sniper rifle. Here we see Jason as his newly assumed identity, the Red Hood. He shoots again, this time aiming for Bruce's restraints before departing for good. Scarecrow attempts to inject Batman again, but his hand is caught and forced into his own neck. Scarecrow then begins to hallucinate and sees bats in every corner of the room. He visualizes Batman as a dark and fear-engulfed creature before screaming in a panic and attempting to flee. However, he is stopped dead in his tracks by Commissioner Gordon, who knocks him out with one punch, finally able to take a bit of vengeance for his daughter's captivity. Batman affirms to Gordon one last time that this is the end, before escorting Scarecrow to GCPD, thus ending the story in a dramatic fashion. The story surrounding Arkham Knight defines and examines fear at its deepest levels. It shows us that it can be a motivator for extreme actions that would never have been a possibility for a particular person. It displays the psychological effects fear can have on an individual, and the extremes they will go to when they believe out of fear that an event will come to fruition, and they wish to prevent it. It displays this well with Batman's attempts to save his allies from death, and the consequences of his actions when his fears influence his decision-making, such as locking Robin up in a cell to protect him. The story also communicates the message that fear ultimately originates inside a person, and can be conquered with enough strength of will, as displayed when Batman becomes immune to the toxin and overpowers the manifestation of the Joker inside of him. Overall, this story sends a positive message and executes it well through a series of life and death choices, exemplified by build-up and a character history with lasting effects on others affiliated. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been Analyzation Skull. Like, comment, and subscribe, and there will be more videos and opinion pieces coming soon.